Welcome back, Scituate students and faculty. We are returning with yet another alumni interview. I'm super excited for today, but first, before we go any further, introducing,
Dominic McRae.
as every alumni interview will be, and our second guest,
James Scacco.
super excited for today. And then we also have Austin Simus and Hope Clements over on tech. Say hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Perfect. And without further ado, I think we should just get this interview started. I'm super excited for today.
Very excited.
Still, this is kind of a working interview for us. This is our only second one, but I'm super excited for today. And before we go any further, just going to go with the first question. When did you know that you wanted to study law? And not only study law, you double majored in political science and studies.
Thank you. I really enjoyed, I knew ever since I was a young kid I wanted to go into the legal profession.
Yeah.
My biggest memory would have to be when I was about 6 or 7 years old. I used to sit in a briefcase and I tried to put on my dad's ties. And my papa, that's my grandfather, always used to say, you'd make a great lawyer. And he was one of my biggest inspirations. So being able to hear from him, I thought, is this something I always wanted to do? Mm-hmm. I worked really hard to try to achieve it. That was one of my biggest goals there, trying to achieve becoming legal counsel one day. Thank you.
Love that. And kind of piggybacking off of that question, did you know you were going to double major in those? Because that's quite a big step. How did you settle on you are going to pick these majors?
Thank you. Well, I've always been very diplomatic. I've always tried to maintain utmost professionalism at all time. Mm-hmm. That's why I was blessed to, run for the school committee here in Scituate and take part in that. So I always knew that I always wanted to be driven in either the political science field and the legal field, so I decided to put those both together. Mm-hmm. And Roger Williams is a fantastic school for any of the students out there watching who are thinking to go to Roger Williams. Go Hawks. I really enjoyed the time there, and it allowed me the opportunity to double major, so it was really great. I really enjoyed that experience.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And I think that leads us up into our next question. What made you want to stay in state in college, and particularly Roger Williams? What made you pick Roger Williams?
Yes, great question. My big thing is I always wanted to stay local. I know some people like to go afar. That's awesome. I wish them the best. Mm-hmm. I'm very close with my family. My parents are my biggest inspirations. I always look up to them. I always go to them for guidance, and they're wonderful. I know a lot of the students here remember Mrs. Scacco, so yeah, Mrs. Scacco's awesome. But my big thing is I wanted to stay close to my family, and also comes down to money. You're going to see when the scholarships are offered, you always go for the place that try to give you the most money, so I ended up going to Roger Williams for that, and that's one of the main reasons I want to stay local and always to be involved with my community. So.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
After college, what made you sort of go into wanting to be a procurement contract consultant?
Great question. The big thing about Roger Williams School of Law is they ended up having a wonderful externship program, and I was able to partake in it, and one of the programs was at CVS. Mm-hmm. So CVS was taking part in it, and I was able to hop on as an extern, and, it was a wonderful work environment. It was full of great people, and I was, I said, I could see myself working here. So, I worked really hard with a colleague of mine, and we both ended up getting positions there, and that's when I started working at CVS for about a year and a half. So it was a great time.
So one more quick question about becoming a procurement consultant. And I saw that consisted of negotiating contracts and things of that nature. So what does that actually consist of, being in that occupation?
It's basically, it's always fun to deal with. I did a lot of vendor disputes. So what would happen is I'd get a contract for any type of service that would take place that we would like to have a business for, whether it be, for a certain amount of products, whether it's a service. For example, at CVS, if you need someone to contract to, conduct business on the grounds of the facility, like you need to have a contract with that vendor. So my job would be to negotiate those contracts, and there's always be sometimes the vendor would push back on certain terms. So my job would go in and try to mitigate as much risk as possible for CVS at the time. So that was my job.
Oh, that's awesome. Right on. And I saw that after a few years you were dabbling in the procurement consultant, and then you moved into a very, very big position over at Staples. Can you speak a little bit more on that position?
Yes. When obviously in 2020 when COVID hit, I was finishing up law school, and like I said, I was starting at CVS, and because of COVID, the bar got pushed back. And at my position at CVS, they were very accommodating. They said, do you still anticipate taking the bar? I said I did. So I was working about 10 hours a day, because I was just a new job, and I obviously wanted to do a good job there. Mm-hmm. So I was working about 10 hours a day at CVS, and then studying for the bar exam at night, about 10 hours a night. So I went through a lot of coffee, went through a lot a lot of coffee, but I was blessed to say I became a licensed attorney. I'm very thankful for that. I'm so appreciative of my family and friends to help me obtain the goal I've had since I was, well, like I said, a little kid in a briefcase. So I was able to do that, and then, I was able to have a dream job at Staples with wonderful colleagues. I have the best boss in the world, hands down. I'll say that because it's true. And I'm not just saying that because he could be watching. I'm just saying he's the best boss. It's a wonderful work environment. Everyone's so kind. Everyone's caring, and it really helped me grow in the legal career. So.
And in that position at Staples, I believe it was a commercial staff attorney?
Yes, that's
And what does that consist of at Staples?
You're a jack of all trades, I'll tell you that much. The beauty of being at Staples is, and with such a great team, is I have the capability of working on so many different things in one day. Like, for example, without diving into the details, I will, redline and negotiate contracts like what we just discussed. Then I'll go handle real estate matters. I'll start looking into certain regulations and laws, and then I'll finish it up by working on internal policies, hopefully. So, yeah, it's every day is new. Every day is different. Like I said, it's a dream for me. I enjoy every part of it. So
That is incredible. I'd love to hear that.
thank you.
With all that, it sounds like a very, time after time, you have, new things every day. How do you manage, the stress, the time, getting everything in your day?
It's true. Big stress relief is playing soccer. I'm still playing 2 adult soccer leagues. That helps relieve a lot of stress. I also, I like to read. I love reading books. I always feel as if, the biggest thing you can do is always try to self-improve. Try to always, never settle, always try to be the best you can be. So I try to learn new things. I'm trying to learn how to play the piano. Not going great, but it is, but it's just a wonderful time getting to try these new things, and that's how I handle the stress. I also learn to be as flexible as possible. That's the biggest thing I can offer to anyone who's interested in being an attorney, the flexibility. That's the big thing. You got to be able to listen, process, and then advise. You're not going to know everything. I'm guaranteeing you right now. Especially young attorneys, you're not going to know everything when you start off. But the biggest thing you can do is try to solve the problem, and then potentially go to, if you're fortunate like I am and have a wonderful supervisor, talk with them, see if you both align, and then proceed to offer the legal advice accordingly. So.
Beautiful. So you touched a little bit on becoming a soccer player. You enjoy soccer in your free time. And off of that critical thinking, I saw you were a referee for about, I think it was 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
So what made you become a referee, and what did you enjoy the most about being a referee?
What did I enjoy the most about? Not being yelled at. That was a good thing. I did enjoy not being yelled at. No, I'm kidding. I still help out at SYSA. I hope is there every Saturday, so it's really great to see her. And, a lot of these students, hopefully, who are watching are my referees, which, by the way, answer your assignments, please. I know Mike has assigned them, so please answer them. But I always think it's important to be a referee. It helped me with that professionalism factor. I was reffing high school games, kids much older than me when I was in middle school reffing these games, and I always thought it was important to hold a good demeanor. And, critical thinking. Quick thinking. You had to think on your feet quick when you were making calls. So I thought that those were factors that really helped me out in my profession later on. So it was a good time.
And hearing that critical thinking, all it makes me think about is actually the period that we're in right now, DECA Club. And it makes me think about the clubs over in high school. I absolutely love DECA Club. It's one of the best opportunities that were ever brought to me. And I saw you were involved with extracurricular stuff at Scituate too. So what were you involved with club-wise and sport-wise, and what made you attracted to them?
I did a lot at Scituate High School. Yeah. I was my class president. By the way, shout out to the class of 2013. We just got done with our 10-year reunion at Mr. Catucci's distillery. He did a wonderful job. Yes. Mr. Catucci was fantastic. Him and his wife did a fantastic job. We were eternally grateful. Thank you so much, because we didn't know what we were going to do. So it was a great time there. Great to see former students. And besides class president, I did soccer for 4 years. I was the captain my senior year. I'm thankful for Coach Brown and Coach Soprano. They really they instilled in me how to be the best I could be, no matter what it was, and I really do appreciate that. I also did select chorus. Mrs. Johnston, she's not here anymore, but she was a fantastic teacher. I really enjoyed that. I also took part in SAD, Students Against Destructive Decision, and every summer I would go partake in Team Spirit, teaching kids the importance of, understanding when to say no, doing the right thing for themselves, and it was a great time there. And I think that's it. That was all the extracurricular. Oh, and I did lacrosse. I wasn't very good. I wasn't very good. I was the guy who would set the picks, and then I'd just get run over. But it was a great time, and I think it's very important for every student. You know, it doesn't have to be sports. It doesn't have to be a certain thing, but just get involved as much as you can, because it is a factor to make you, one, marketable for college. You know, colleges love to see the extracurriculars. And also, it helps you build a close network. I'm still friends with many of my soccer teammates. Actually, in the adult leagues that I play in, it's a lot of alumni that from Scituate. So we're going to get tonight against the championship game. Hopefully we do well. But yes, it's great to see what you can build by partaking in extracurriculars. So it was a good time.
Absolutely.
Before this, we were talking about, you know, obviously your extracurricular activities, and you know, talking with Mr. Ballou, you always said that you were an incredibly hardworking student. How did that kind of transition into your career now? How did that help you, you know, stay proactive and stay hardworking?
The biggest advice that I can give, and thank you for that, is I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not naturally smart. You know, I work really hard, and that's the big thing. I think that if you have the perseverance to try as hard as you can achieve anything, and I really stand by that. You know, I had kids in my class who they'd look at it once and they'd memorize it and it'd be perfect, and I'd sit there and go, wow, that must be nice. For me, it's always working as hard as you can, never leaving a point on the table. In Mr. Abrams' class, he was a teacher here a while ago. I loved Mr. Abrams. He was awesome. I went 100 days into the school year without getting anything wrong on a test, quiz, or homework. And he asked me, he's like, how are you doing this? And I said, because my theory is there are people out there who are smarter than me.
Can I have your attention, please, the following students to the high school office. Andrea Crum.
Funny part, but don't worry about it. Don't worry. We'll rock with this. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, there are people who are going to be smarter than you. Oh, by the way, do we need to make a motion or anything? Or?
Oh, no. It's
Okay.
fine.
There's always people who are going to be smarter than you, but there's no reason that people can't work harder than you. You go into a room, you have to be the hardest working person, and if you do that, you'll be able to achieve your dreams. So I always think that it's important that, you know, work ethic is something that, and professionalism are two factors that really will help you stand out. So, yeah, at Scituate, it was, the big thing was I was surrounded by a lot of smart people, and, you know, I said, you know, there's no reason I can't be one of them, but I just got to work really hard. So that was my big thing.
Definitely, I love that. That was honestly some of the best advice we have heard yet, honestly.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Also, what made you, attending Scituate High School, did you ever think about transferring out? And like, what made you realize like Scituate is Scituate? Like it sets it apart from other schools. What made you want to stay?
So as I said earlier in our in the interview, I'm a big fan of family components, and I'm a big fan of camaraderie and building chemistry. And one of the biggest things about Scituate, and when I was in school, well, look at me, when I was in school, the STEAM program really hadn't taken off yet, and you know, transferring out of high schools wasn't as common as it was today. But one thing I really did about Scituate was the closeness. I got to know all my teachers very well. They were personally invested in seeing me succeed. I mean, as we were walking around today, I was giving teachers all hugs all over the place. It was great to come back, and I think that if you're a student who wants to, you know, stand out, really want to make a difference, really want to feel like you're being a part of a close-knit community, Scituate's a great place for you, and that's what I wanted to take part in. So it was a great time to do that.
Beautiful. And kind of piggybacking off the advice earlier, what was your biggest takeaway from Scituate? Like, what made you realize, yes, this is going to stick with me for life? Whether it's a lesson, whether it's the togetherness, you're still connected with Scituate members. Do you think that you would still be connected with them today if you went to a different school?
To be honest with you, no. I think I like the approach of, you know, because you're in a small community, you're able to partake in so much. You know, I alluded to all the clubs and activities I partook in. When you're in a big school, I mean, it's tough. I mean, who's to say you could be class president, be in select chorus, and be the soccer team captain? I mean, that's very rare. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Bigger schools, that's tough to come by. So Scituate allows you the opportunity to really partake in all of those things. And you have teachers here. You have a principal here who are invested in you, who want you to excel, who want you to succeed. Mr. Hassel actually wasn't the principal when I was here.
Right.
He was actually a teacher, so it's funny because we both came up together, and then I see him now as the principal doing a wonderful job, and I look at him and I go, I'm proud of you. So it was good to see him do that, but it's nice to see that you're part of a community here, and that's the at Scituate. So I strongly recommend to all the Scituate students there, stay here, and you won't regret it.
Can absolutely justify that answer. I'm coming from a different school and then coming back here, I literally can justify every single answer you said. Nothing has changed since the years you have left. 10 years later, everything's the same.
Well, I will say one thing. This is fantastic. I mean, to see how the STEAM program has taken off. You know, as I was speaking about earlier, I was on the school committee in Scituate. I was actually one of the younger elected officials in town history.
Incredible.
I thank all my colleagues and I thank the town for electing me. Thank you. But when I was on the school committee, we really started enacting the STEAM program because we wanted to provide the best opportunity for our students to excel, and also we wanted to maintain, update ourselves into advancing ourselves into the new day age of curriculum. So to see it take off like this, wow. And look, I mean, this room is incredible. Like, look at this. And just walking around the hall, seeing how great of a job Mr. Ballou has done. He was talking about how he is part of the CTE program, one of the instructors there himself.
Entrepreneurship pathway, correct.
Great teacher, by the way.
Absolutely.
You guys are very lucky. Great teacher. And no, he did not pay me to say that. He's a great teacher, so it's great.
So what made you choose, commercial law instead of any of the other practices that you could have went with?
Great question. My big thing is I love transactional drafting. I think the whole fact of a contract can rely on a certain sentence, a certain provision. It's going to go one way or the other. I love that. I love learning. Reading. Huge shout out to Mrs. Stormont. Thank you so much for putting up with me for all those years. Thank you for teaching me how to write a persuasive essay. Thank you on that one. But the big thing is I love the transactional drafting part of it. I love redlining, and that's why I wanted to go into the in-house counsel route. You have litigators, you have all the attorneys, family law, and while those are wonderful, those just weren't my calling. And that's why I wanted to go into the commercial route. So I appreciated that.
Beautiful. All right. I think we're going to wrap this up with the last question here. You gave absolutely beautiful advice, just advice in general to students. But if you had to give advice to anyone who wants to follow the law path or just anything in general in the law field, what would you give to them?
I was wondering, do you mind if we break that question into two parts? One, talking about the law, and then one, just general advice as you guys get older, because, talking to seniors. Are you seniors?
Absolutely. Yes, senior.
Wow, congratulations. Giving advice going into this new part of your life. So let me start with the law one. The big thing I can talk about with the law is, the big advice is, you have to be willing to work hard. You have to be willing to go the extra mile because it's a competitive field, and it's all about making sure that that you can put your best foot forward and trying your best. That's one thing. Also, another one is listening. Please, I can't emphasize that enough. A lot of attorneys talk, and I get that. It's billable hours, for goodness sakes, but need to listen. You need to understand the facts. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and make sure you fully understand. If you're negotiating a contract, make sure you know what the service is. Make sure you know what the product is before you actually start to redline and address it accordingly. And another big thing in the legal field is treat everyone with respect. Treat everyone with respect, because you never know, especially in Rhode Island, you never know who is going to be connected to who.
Yeah.
So go in with respect. When I was in law school, I won an award. I was the most supporting law student my second year, because I worked in the library, and the big thing I took in was like, I'm going to treat everyone with respect. They don't have to like me. It's fine. I really don't care. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be nice to everybody. And apparently a lot of my peers liked me, and I'm thankful for that. So those are the big three things I can give for the legal field. Now, in general, for the young students who are watching, who are going to take that next step, I live by these three things, and they've worked out pretty well for me. My big thing: each and every day, try to make one person laugh, try to make one person smile. You do not know what people are going through, and if you can take the time to actually make someone smile, you could have made their day. So every day, I try to make one person smile. The second big thing is just go into each day with a bright perspective. Life's tough. If anything, COVID really taught us that. Life can be really tough, but you know what you can control? You can control your attitude. You can control how you take about each day. You can have tough days. You can have long days. Some days aren't going to be that bright. But how you act, that could be the changing factor. And the third big thing is, like I said, I'm very blessed. I have a wonderful mother and father and a great little sister. Never forget the people who have always been there for you. Yeah. Always, your friends, your family. I've got friends of 20 plus years, and every day, I talk with them, and I just show appreciation to them, because, you're going to get through this. You're going to be with friends. And then it's just great. So those are the big 3 things: make people laugh, and it's just always worth it. So, but no, that was my big 3 things.
Honestly, the advice couldn't have been any better.
Thanks, I appreciate
that was
it.
amazing. And does anybody have any closing remarks? Perfect. Well, it was an absolute pleasure having you here, James. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you both. Thank you, the whole team. This has been absolutely phenomenal. You guys should be really proud of yourselves. This is just fantastic. It really is. So
Thank you. We really appreciate it. Anything else, Dominic?
This was incredible. I mean, you did an incredible job. It was such a great opportunity to meet you.
It's a great opportunity to be here. Thank you all.
Perfect. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Catch you in the next alumni interview.